This your boy, Tubby. With me as always is Lee.
Hello.
And welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Week 4. 3 weeks in the books. Week 4. It's a big week if you're like us and you're finally catching the groove. If you're like me, you finally caught your first win. I normally start like this. Let me start. I ain't going to bring up mines already. But you normally start with the first win of the season.
Yeah.
You are feeling good. I am feeling good. It's finally to get that one because you don't want to go 0-3 because then imagine what 0-4 feels like. And then you already feel like your season is over. Then you stop setting your draft. I mean, your lineup.
Yeah.
But we don't do that around here, man. I'm back again. This your boy Tubby. With me as always, Lee, man. What's going on, Lee?
Yeah. Well, congrats on the win. It was at my expense.
Yeah.
I made, you had a hard choice choosing between Cousins or Herbert. I went with Cousins at home, not thinking that Herbert was going to face that horrible Vikings defense. And because, man, if you had a Charger or a Dolphin, you scored some major fantasy points this week. And I had, Keenan Allen in another league, which was great. But, man, should have had Herbert. That was 13 points there. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, that was really the only real mistake. I mean, there's a couple of things I could have swapped out. Like I had Lockett in there instead of Cortland Sutton, but that's something that it was a toss-up anyway. So I don't begrudge you winning. You had Mahomes, you had Kelsey, you had some major points up there. I went over, it was still close. What really upset me, to be honest with you, was I knew that Swift needed a lot of points on Monday night, but it was the fact that he was going off on the Buccaneers and he just didn't see any action in the fourth quarter. And if he would have broke one long run and a touchdown, I think only finished 13 points behind you. I mean, who knows what could have happened? But I was texting you about it because I was really just like, why would the Eagles risk this win? I know they were up 25-3 with 8 minutes to go. And so it was a total dominating win by the Eagles, but it was like, why did they keep Swift out? And I do think they kept Gainwell in because they didn't want to get Swift hurt. They know he has a history of injuries, and he's such a spark to the team. If he does go down, I think that it really hurts the Eagles' chances as far as the division and maybe the playoffs, because losing Miles Sanders was huge, and I don't think I've seen anything from Rashard Penny. So for me, it was like DeAndre Swift has been that guy that if we didn't have him in the lineup, the Eagles could very well be 0-3 right now. They could very well be 0-3. Well, the New England game they would have won because he didn't play in that one, but they could be 1-2 anyway. Yeah. But congrats on the win. It was much deserved. I'm glad you got it. Otherwise, you would have felt like the Broncos feel, or how the Bears feel, or how the Panthers feel. Who else is 0-3 right now that I'm missing? Broncos, Bears,
one more team because they all play
Minnesota.
Each other.
Minnesota is 0-3.
Yeah, they all 4 teams play each other this week.
Isn't that weird? That is so strange.
All 4 teams.
Crazy stuff. But yeah, it's week 4 already. I mean, wow. Time flies when you're having fun, and that's what it is with the NFL. If you're a football fan, it goes by really quick. It doesn't last long. Christmas comes and goes, and then we got the playoffs, and then that's it. That's it.
Yeah, man. Just going back to Swift real quick before we move forward. I feel you. I was surprised, man. Every time he broke through, got to the second level, I thought he was gone every time. And then, somebody will come out of nowhere and clip his ankles or something like that.
That hurdle, the shoestring on the hurdle where he jumped the guy up, that was beautiful.
Yeah, man. I haven't seen this much promise from the Eagles running back, or this much excitement, since Shady. Probably since Shady, man, where I was like, oh, man, we got a legit running back. Before the last couple years, I mean, even if we go all the way back to Murray, when we got Murray from the Cowboys, the Cowboys wore him out. They knew right when to get rid of him.
Yep.
And they were right about it. So, yeah, man, he's back home in Philly, so he has something to run for. I mean, he's playing for his home team. We love when you get those type of guys, just like Reddick and just like Kaiser White last year, who's moved on. But, yeah, man, it's really good to see that the Eagles have a running back. The only thing you worry about when it comes to Swift is the injuries.
Yeah.
Is the injuries. And I don't know if they were just trying to keep Gainwell happy. But I definitely agree with you that if he wasn't in that Vikings game, I'm not sure how it would have went.
Yeah,
He was a big factor.
Yeah,
in that win.
175 yards is what helped the Eagles get over the hump because they were kind of floundering on offense, and then he takes everything away. And you see at the end of the Buccaneers game, the Buccaneers were so run ragged that it started opening up passing lanes for Jalen and AJ, and they just started picking them apart to come down on that final drive. And goodness, I'm glad they did because Gainwell to me didn't show anything on that final drive. I think he finished. Swift had 16 carries, which I said he needed 20 or more. And so I'm mad. And then and Gainwell had 14 carries. Swift averaged 8 yards a carry, and if I'm not mistaken, Gainwell was like 3.8. It wasn't great. He only had like 40 yards. So Gainwell had some flashes. He had some 5-yard runs, but overall, like I said, the one running back in the Eagles' backfield that has been consistent is DeAndre Swift. He's got over 300 yards in just 2 games. And he's second in the league in rushing behind Christian McCaffrey. And he didn't even play game 1.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So
it just shows you, and that 9-minute final drive was just beauty.
It was
9 minutes. I mean, you want to talk about? I think this is why people, the Eagles, everybody want to talk about the Eagles so much because when you take the ball with 9 minutes to go and the other team never gets it back. I know we say final drive, but most people think 3-4 minutes. Nice little 2-minute drive. 9 minutes to just let the air out of the stadium. I know people started going, they were just moving it. We just wore them down, man. And the Eagles, did what they've been doing, and that's just winning, man. So I've been saying it since last year. I don't care how they win. I just want them to win because I think they're a skilled enough team to win a bunch of different ways. So we haven't been put in a lot of the positions that the other teams have been in. We've kind of been ahead, or in control of most games. We just let them slip at the end. And, that's where the Kirk Cousins yards start to pile up at, and things like that. But we were up, 20-7 or something like that. Then we got a little sloppy. Even in the Tampa game, the interceptions, we get a little sloppy and then teams creep back in. But that final drive showed you why this team went to the Super Bowl last year because to run, to have the ball for 9 minutes and close a game out, that's a different level, of winning. That's dominance,
And what really surprised me was they did it with the passing game because they were getting some yards on the ground, but it was these quick throws to AJ and Tavante that led them down the field on those crucial third downs, which was amazing to me. Yeah. So, and that game, they definitely could have scored 40 points. They left some points on the field. And I think, to me, initially, I was kind of like, well, their offense has just not completely found its groove yet. But I don't know, as long as they keep winning, if that's a bad thing because it keeps them working towards something. Mm-hmm. If they were blowing people out, say 40-0 or say 30-10, like a team from down in Texas did, maybe they get a little complacent and go into a road game that they should win and get their ass handed to them. Yeah. So in this case, going into this Washington game, so if you've got Eagles on your fantasy roster, they're at home against the team that beat them on Monday night in Philly last year. So they've got that reminding them all week. That's what I've heard people talk about. Remember, Washington beat Philly. They were the only team to beat them before, when they were undefeated. So I think this is some motivation. I think it's one of those games where I think the Eagles may just start firing on all cylinders for this game because they definitely got something to play for. Now, that being said, the Washington defense, they got Chase Young. It's a dominant front four. Right. So if our offensive line is not up to the task, that's going to hurt Jalen Hurts' numbers overall. It's going to hurt the running game numbers, but I do trust our offensive line. I haven't heard anything about Dickerson yet, the left guard. Have we heard whether he's okay? I know it was a knee contusion is what they said. So I think he's probably, they just pulled him out of the game. I will say Suopeta played outstanding.
He did.
Spot. So
I thought so too.
I'm pretty glad for that. But
that was a good point. Yeah, man. But so on this podcast, we talk about our personal fantasy football league that we're both in. Like I said, we played last week, And this week, what do you know? Playing somebody else. And this is Marine Raider, my sibling.
Yeah.
2-1 on the season. He has a solid squad, man. And just like our matchup, remember it was like 1 or 2 points or maybe a point less. I think it was like less than a point different from our game, our matchup last week. Now, if you look at it now, Lord Vader and Marine Raider, just about a 1.5 difference. 52% favorite, so I'm only favored by 2%. And this is why, man. Mahomes, one thing I want to mention off the top is I lost Mike Williams. So one of the things that I did to replace Mike Williams is I picked up Adam Thielen. Now, old man Thielen, you can call him what you want, but you can't dispute these numbers right here.
Right.
20 points is 20 points. 31 is 31.
Yeah.
So, and this is with either quarterback. This one is with Young, and then this one is with Dalton. So I seen him on the waiver wire. I was like, you know what, man? If he's the veteran guy, he's the go-to guy. Somebody's getting 14 targets, 9 targets. I'm like, you know what? I need a wide receiver. I wasn't in like desperate need of one, but I was like, I need one that's playing really well. That's one that's at least playing like a wide receiver one. This doesn't work out, cool. But he was sitting there. I had a couple slots open, and I said, what the hell, man? Let me pick up Adam Thielen. So that's my pickup this week for Mike Williams.
If I could touch on that real quick, Mike Williams going down is huge. I mentioned it on Tuesday. It made Joshua Palmer really attractive on the waiver wire. He was basically the most ads. And I picked him up in one league just because after all the waiver processed, nobody in my other league picked him up.
Okay.
And I already had Keenan Allen. So I was like, do I get 2 Chargers? I could not pick him up and let somebody else have him. So I basically picked him up so nobody else could pick up Palmer.
Hey.
But there's a choice there, and you made a choice with Adam Thielen. I think he had really good chemistry with Andy Dalton in that loss to Seattle, 37-27. But I thought that Thielen played really well, and there's some chemistry there. Even if Young comes back, like you said, he is kind of the go-to guy. Another option, though, that's out there is Quentin Johnson, the rookie receiver who's like 6'2", 6'3" for the Chargers. That's going to be now playing as the third receiver. And a lot of people think that it's only a matter of time before Joshua Palmer ends up as the slot receiver and Quentin Johnson starts getting some momentum. So if you haven't looked at that and he's available in your leagues, that might be a nice stash for you. I didn't mention that on Tuesday because I kind of saw it after our podcast on Thursday. He hasn't done much yet, but with Mike Williams going down, he's clearly the third receiver right now. And there's a lot of buzz on this kid. So he's a stash that I would say that if somebody in our league has him already. So yeah, so A-Will has him in our league. But I looked in my other league and he was available. He's available in like 60-some% of leagues. The problem is I already have Joshua Palmer and Keenan Allen. I can't pick up a third Charger, dude. That would just be the definition of insanity. So even as a stash, I had to leave him alone. Hey, we got a quick question real quick. I want to bring this up. This is from Super CNB Challengers. He's been in here before. So welcome. And this is what we do here on the Fantasy Football Waiver Wire. We try to help you out, and it's completely free. We just ask that you subscribe to the channel so you know when we go live so we can always give you advice. And his question is, trade away James Cook for Aaron Jones in a PPR league. James Cook, Aaron Jones. I'll let you start on this one because I kind of know what I would say on this one. You're just going to bring him up?
I'm just going to bring him up, man. So James Cook right now, I mean, you can see these numbers are impressive, especially for
we're in a PPR. So this is PPR numbers.
Yeah. Especially for a Buffalo running back. Now here's the flip side of it. I know Aaron Jones has been hurt. That's why I just brought up the James Cook numbers to start with. I know Aaron Jones has been hurt, but if you look at the way A.J. Dillon has played the last 2 games, you will know that they're going to need Aaron Jones when he comes back. You do have Latavius Murray. I know he did vulture a touchdown at one point, but this is looking really good. I haven't looked at James Cook that's this much this year, but I'm like, man, this is, anybody that averages 10 points a game. So I guess with Aaron Jones, just off the top, I'm going to just go ahead and go to Aaron real quick. as well. Check him out. So you look at Aaron Jones, the game he did play, 26 points. So right now, if I had Aaron Jones, I would hold up a little bit because I think you can probably get James Cook for Aaron Jones at any point during the season. So for me personally, I would want to see what happens when Aaron Jones gets back because Allen is still going to vulture a lot of those goal line touchdowns. He's in like the top 3 since he's come into the NFL with touchdowns for quarterbacks. So for right now, I'm holding on to Aaron Jones for a little bit. I want to see what happens when he comes back. Give it a few games because if you got 26 the first game, man, there's no telling what you can get, moving forward. So to answer your question, I wouldn't at the moment. What you think, Lee?
Well, he just did a follow-up. So he's asking, would he trade away Cook for Jones? And he would be the one getting Aaron Jones. I think that if you do the math, if you go into the trade analyzer, you probably would see as far as projections, Jones slightly ahead. And the problem is the games that he's been out. He's questionable. He might suit up for tonight is what the word is. So I'm sure the trade wouldn't process by then, so it wouldn't help you now. But the way I was thinking as soon as this question was asked was that these are two really similar backs. I have a friend who is Cook, and his problem with Cook, and I'm sure it's the same thing with you, is that he doesn't get that superstar vibe. He doesn't get like that's going to be a 20-plus guy when Aaron Jones can be. Aaron Jones can have those 20-plus games. James Cook is a problem with Latavius Murray and his backfield. We saw that this week where Latavius was getting a few carries. So I'm not even sure pull up what Latavius did this week because I thought he vultured quite a few, but I could be wrong on that. But I say that, yeah, you would probably be getting a slight edge with Aaron Jones, and you got to take the risk on the injury. Again, both of them have guys that are behind him. So how many carries did he have? He had 5 carries for 35 yards and a touchdown. That's infuriating to James Cook owners.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And so I can see why you're interested in it. So I don't think it's too much of a risk. You're not giving up a top tier running back. You're giving up a pretty good running back for another one that's probably going to get a lot of catches out of the backfield.
So if you're the one, Super CMB, if you're the one getting Aaron Jones, I would trade him. I would trade away James Cook for Aaron Jones. I would. So yeah, I know I was talking about it in reverse, but yeah, man, if somebody's going to give me Cook for Jones, I'm doing it.
All right, this one's up your alley there, Tubby. I know that you like Christian Watson. Exactly. Kang TTV says, start Christian Watson, who will have limited snaps in his return tonight or and play, or start Gabe Davis against the Dolphins. That's his 2 options.
So you have Davis yourself here.
I do. He's on my bench, but the problem with Gabe on my bench is that I have Ayuk and Olave, and then I have 3 top-tier running backs in Pollard and Swift and McCaffrey. So that's my 2 running backs in my flex. So I'm starting Olave and who else did I say? My other wide receiver. Ayuk, yes, thank you. And Ayuk's coming back from injury, so I'm going to be watching that closely. But out of my bench, if they say Ayuk is going to be limited or may not play a lot of snaps, I probably would start Gabe Davis because he's had some pretty decent days. So what do you think about Watson? I like Christian Watson. I'm just not so sure in this game since he is coming back from the injury and will have limited snaps.
Yeah, we haven't seen him with Love yet.
No,
we haven't seen it. You have seen Gabe Davis. So right now, if I'm going with what I know in this moment, it seems like we know Buffalo's going to throw the ball. Now 4 targets can be a little concerning. But as you can see, because he has Stephon Diggs on that roster. So when you have Stephon Diggs, man, a lot of them. And who was the other guy? Kyer Davis or what's his name? I forgot the guy. He caught like 2 touchdowns last week from him.
Yeah. So Khalil Shakir.
Yeah, Khalil Shakir. So man.
So the thing is that I have Gabe and he did play really well that week too. Vegas pass defense, Vegas overall is a crap show right now, but 92 yards and a touchdown was great. You want that again. Miami is kind of middle of the road in the pass defense area, so we haven't really seen them really struggle with a lot of teams. They kind of struggled with the Patriots, but not really. Yeah. So I think that there's a tendency there where if Miami is moving the ball a lot, then the Buffalo offense is going to be back on the field a lot because it could be a shootout. And if that's the case and it turns into a shootout, this could really benefit you. So if we're wrong, we're wrong. I'm sorry. I would say that maybe Christian Watson's a good start after you see how he has kind of, that kind of chemistry with Jordan Love. But I would personally go with Gabe this week. This week.
But I know how you feel with Watson because with Love averaging 300 yards, they have to go somewhere. Those yards have to go somewhere. So, but yeah, I'm with Lee on this one. I'm starting Gabe Davis tonight. I'm sorry if you keep hearing Christian Watson all weekend because he can go off, man. Yeah. He can go off, man. So
it's definitely it's definitely a risk because he is a good player. But I think this one, your safer bet if you're going to play that. If you want to take the risk, then Watson. But if you want the safe bet, Gabe Davis. So don't worry about being wrong. I appreciate the perspective. We like I said, we're not always right. We've done pretty well so far this year. As far as and it's his first year of fantasy, so welcome. You are now sucked in, and you will be stuck for the rest of your life in this thing we call. I hope you're not in more than one league because I've been at times up to 4 leagues, and there's no point even being in 4 leagues because you're tracking 1,500 players across 4 leagues, and you can't even enjoy the game anymore. So don't let fantasy get in your way of enjoyment of the game. That's one tip I'll give you, and enjoy beating your friends at this game. So you want to look at more of your matchup with your brother this week. So
going down, because we like to go down and rate who has the edge in each in the position. So Mahomes is always going to have the edge, man. But against Arizona, man, Brock Purdy could act a fool, man. But Arizona proved last week not so fast. Everybody's not going to just run over us and be the laughing stock, man. But I'm going with Mahomes because he's just Mahomes, man. Against the Jets, I heard Taylor Swift is going to be there, so hopefully they keep trying to throw touchdowns to each other. As you can see, I have Kelsey. I didn't even want to make a Swift plug. I'm so tired of it. I try to mute the mentions anywhere I can. But it's a real thing. It's a real thing. So wide receiver, DK Metcalf, Adam Thielen against Lamb and T. Higgins. He definitely has the edge here. Even though T. Higgins had a bit of an off game last week, I even bet him on FanDuel to catch a touchdown. Had the spread 3 and a touchdown. One push, the other one didn't happen. So maybe T. Higgins has a bounce back game against Tennessee, but he definitely has the edge here on the wide receiving core. Same thing with running backs. I'm going to have to give him the lean with Eckler. And Walker had an amazing week last week. Got him 30 points.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just improving every week. 10, 18, 30. Look at this. 18 carries, 2 tutties, 3 catches. He's doing it all for Seattle, just like he did last year.
Yep.
He has the edge in the running backs there, too. I obviously have the edge in when it comes to tight ends over anybody. Pitts is just, he's been in the league, 3 years now? He still hasn't done much.
No,
and you know what it just dawned on me, Lee, this week watching Atlanta?
Yeah.
They don't really throw the ball.
No.
It never really dawned on me. And I said, it was like fourth quarter already, only had about 16 attempts. I said, they're not running the offense through it. No, they're just trying to get it out of his hands or run the ball. Yeah. It never really dawned on me until this week. And I just thought, he was a gunslinger, man. And but no, I'm waiting for, to see these amazing Atlanta Falcon passing numbers, because they ran Mariota up out of there. So I'm like, which he should. I'm even mad he's the Eagles backup. But we're not going to keep that right now.
Yeah, no.
But man, Kyle Pitts, I think I have the edge here.
Yeah, I definitely. Of course. There's only one tight end in the league right now, really.
That's really doing.
I mean, there's some tight ends that are
Laporta.
Got some tight end. Yeah, I got Laporta. And
you got 2 of the other sneaky ones on your team.
I do.
Laporta, Hockenson is no sneaky, but I don't know what they're doing up in Iowa. I think Kittle, Laporta, Hockenson, they all came out of Iowa. I don't know what they're doing up in Iowa with their tight ends, but they're doing the right thing.
Yeah,
kicker, whatever.
Corn-fed boys. But it's I got a trade offer for one of my tight ends because I have Hockenson and Laporta, blessed with riches, and it's like only if it makes my team better. And right now there's nothing out there unless I take your star player for Hockenson that it's going to make my team better. Right now I'm pretty happy. So
Right.
So yeah, I like having that. But Kelce is still the man.
Mm-hmm.
It's still the guy that's guaranteed. Every other tight end, you kind of hope that they're going to have a big game because it's up and down. It all depends on the team that they're playing and whether they're weak against tight ends or not. So you got to really be careful of that.
Yeah. Arizona looks like food to San Francisco this week in the defensive department.
Yeah.
But I will say this. You see, 24, 8.5, 13.5 for Frisco's defense. But I want to show you something about this Indy defense.
All right.
20, 15, 17.
Nice.
I mean, they haven't scored less than 15 points all season. Last time that I checked. That's solid, man. Just some weird numbers. I was scrolling on the fantasy waiver wire, and I was like, man, Indy's defense is crazy. Now, them going up against the Niners, the Rams, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Missed up there. Them going up against the Rams, man, I think they can get to Stafford, just like they did last week. I think they can get to Stafford. They don't have like their big guns. Nobody's really like a big gun on the Rams,
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, I think Indy's playing good ball. So I picked them up this week. I sat my Miami defense because they're going up against Buffalo for obvious reasons. So that was my train of thought there. I just needed somebody probably to get me through the week because I didn't want to go. I think it's going to be a shootout in Buffalo. I think it's going to be crazy. Isn't this crazy? This game is not on prime time. This is a 1:00 game.
I know.
Isn't that crazy? I mean,
it's definitely.
I would go see it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the best ones on the matchup. Those damn the battles of the 0-3 teams aren't for sure. That's for one thing. But yeah, that game is one I'll be keeping an eye on while I'm watching the Eagles and the Commanders. So yeah. Your lineup, I'd say they got you projected at what 2 points is a win. Right. I think a lot of that has to do with Mahomes and Kelce. It depends on how well the Jets defense plays them and keeps them off the board if they hold field goals. And that could be a thing, but they're going to have the ball a lot because I'm sorry, Zach Wilson, it just doesn't move it. He just doesn't. He got lucky against Buffalo because Buffalo kind of self-imploded in that week one. And then after that, he's just done absolutely nothing. So if you have any Jet players, I would bench them without hesitation. Even Breece Hall and Cook aren't putting up any numbers. That team is completely demoralized right now. But anyway. So this is my team for those of you who don't know, and I'm 2-1. I lost to my man Tubby here, but he had Mahomes and Kelce, and we had a really good shootout. I think I was third in the league in scoring, but still lost to you because you were second in the league, and then we had homeboy with Mello that had the Dolphin players and had like over 200 points. Give me a break, but
crazy.
Yeah, so this is what I'm looking at right now, and I'm not a really tough spot, but tonight with the Lions playing the Packers on Thursday night, I have Laporta, like I said, and it's like, do I start Laporta at Green Bay or do I start Hawkinson? My thing is I can't bench Hawkinson for Laporta right now when Kirk Cousins is firing like he's doing, and I got to take that chance. And I know that Laporta has definitely got the potential to have some numbers. The other, but I'm going to go with Hawkinson. The other big thing is you see my running backs. I have McCaffrey, Swift, and Pollard at running back. You get so lucky sometimes. Sometimes things just fall your way. And I have Montgomery on the bench, and he's back tonight against a very weak Green Bay run defense. So it's like, but who do I pull? Who out of McCaffrey and Swift and Pollard are you going to pull? Maybe Pollard. But would you pull him for Montgomery when he's just coming off the injury? No. So I'm going to stick with Pollard and hope that Montgomery doesn't go off for a couple touchdowns. It very well could happen. I'll just go ahead and bank with what I got. I'm looking at a clear advantage in this. I got Herbert playing a really bad Las Vegas defense against Deshaun Watson, playing Baltimore. He's got the advantage with Keenan Allen and Diggs for sure. I'm sticking with Olave and Ayuk for now, but I could always throw in Sutton if I need to or Lockett. But then I'm running back. I've got a pretty good advantage. Barkley's good, but he's been banged up, so that game against Seattle will be interesting. Pacheco's not really putting anything up. I think that 10-point projection. I love Pacheco. I've said before, he runs like he's mad at the ground, but he's just not putting up fantasy numbers because there's so much to spread around in Kansas City. Of course, he's got Andrews at tight end, but Andrews really hasn't done anything this year, so we'll see where that goes. So I could very well lose this game when you're looking at the players that he has, but the problem is a lot of, other than maybe Allen and Diggs, a lot of his players have been underperforming this year. So I'm going to hope that continues to be the case, and they don't all of a sudden have 40-point games, and I end up losing 2 in a row, because I definitely don't want that. But I'm pretty happy with my team. I'm just going to ride it out with them and see where it goes.
Yeah, man. The only thing, you guys both, his wide receivers are, man, Diggs, Allen, and Pittman has been having a really good year so far. I'm gonna bring up Pittman just for the folks out there that may be sleeping on Indy, and just everything they have going on with them. Week 1, 11 targets, 12 targets, 11 target, 23, 13, and 16. He's been going crazy this year, man. Just low key. I was watching some show. They brought up Michael Pittman. I was like, really?
Yeah.
No, he's been just low key. I had him on my squad last year, but yeah, man. You definitely have the edge from a running back standpoint, especially we don't know what Barkley is going to do. Pacheco's been all right, but they spread the ball around a lot. Got 15 last week.
Yeah,
but McKinnon, they throw the ball to McKinnon a lot as well too. So
you're right. He did have a good game last week, but how could you not against the Bears? That was a complete and utter domination. This game, this week against the Jets, I'm hoping that they hold Pacheco out. My one big concern on my starting lineup that I'm really going to have to think about is Olave, because I'm not a big fan of what Jameis Winston's been doing.
Oh,
he came in. Well, Carr's clearly, he's got a shoulder injury. He's clearly not on track to play. They say he's week to week. And when Winston came in that game, the Saints were up big, and they had 4 straight punts and a missed field goal. That's what they ended the game on. And I worry about that for my wide receivers. And if you have Michael Thomas or Chris Olave or any Saint, that's something that you're going to have to worry about. It depends on how well Jameis plays this week. And I hate banking on that. So I may do the skittish thing on Sunday morning and start Lockett or Sutton or one of my other receivers, because I may not be able to take that chance if Carr's not going to play.
We know Jameis is going to throw the ball. We just don't know to which team. By the way, light you up for 400 one week and 4 the next and 4 picks. It's just you're right, man. It's the reason why anytime guys like Jameis Winston is not a starter anywhere, I'm always like, well, we already knew. We knew since he left Tampa that he's going to be a backup. Probably from here on out. And he can win you a game, but we're not talking about winning. We're talking about, is he going to get the ball to Chris Olave? And I feel if you read here, says Olave caught 2 of the 3 targets when James came in, but for 32 yards. So but he definitely doesn't have the same relationship as he has with Derek Carr. I wouldn't suspect that. He may go to Michael Thomas more, different quarterback, different targets.
Yeah. Or the other team, like you said. So, by the way, I do want to say we're on here because we're both football fans, so we're going to be leaving to go watch the game. But if you have any questions about your team, by all means, don't hesitate. Put them in the chat, and we'll be happy to add them. All we ask is that you subscribe to the channel so you know when we go live, so that we can help you out with your fantasy league each and every week. This is a regular thing for us. Usually Tuesdays, if you're not a regular viewer on the show, we cover the waiver wire so that you can get your waiver claims set. And then tonight, Thursday night, we're always going over your matchups to find out your best matchup for the week. So if you have any doubts or questions like I do, whether I start Chris Olave or not, I do have another quandary in my other ESPN league that I'm in that I was going to pose to you. And I think it's an easy one because of Montgomery coming back. I have Jahmyr Gibbs on my bench right now. And I have as starting running backs in that league. I have Derrick Henry, Kyren Williams, and Tony Pollard. Do you see me supplanting any one of those guys for Gibbs tonight?
If Montgomery wasn't back, then probably. But let's look at what Gibbs. Gibbs. There's still a lot of hype around Gibbs, but he really still hasn't had that breakout game yet.
No.
If that makes sense. You see 8 here, 12, and 9. I'm going up against him this week. And it seems like when it was all the lights were on him, I'm not gonna say he came up small, but maybe the game flow didn't really help him that much, But nah, I'm not starting him tonight. I know my brother is. My brother will be here too in a couple hours, so that'll be cool to watch it. But nah, man, I'm sticking with what you have.
I think that there's a potential there. It's because the thing that's making me doubt it is Green Bay's run defense has not been that great. But Montgomery's going to get a share of catches. It just is this the game. I keep waiting for Gibbs to break out, and I think it's one of those things where until he does, I got to go with my other. I got three. I got Henry and Pollard. I'm not going to sit those guys. So we got a question from Alex Weirzoff. I think he's been in the show before. Needs flex advice on a half PPR. He wants to know of these three, Montgomery, Sutton, or Javonte Williams. That is a puzzler. That is a very challenging question. Montgomery, Sutton, or Javonte? While the professor loads the data into the computer.
Yeah. So two of these players you have on your fantasy roster here.
I have Montgomery,
Courtland Sutton, and you have Montgomery.
Both on my bench.
Yeah, they're both on the bench. Courtland Sutton, I think he's the number one target for Russ. It's just when it comes to the Broncos, you just never know what type of product they're going to put out, what type of game they're going to have. Then you got Montgomery, Javonte Williams. Let me look at Williams too, because I made a trade for Williams this week. It got rejected because somebody was telling me that because I have Taylor from Indy. He's like, nah, man, I want your team to get too good just in case he comes back. I'm like, come on, man. But he's been mediocre this year when it comes to Javonte Williams, and he is coming off that ACL, LCL injury, but man, he was supposed to be that guy.
Yeah,
this year in Denver. That's the reason why they moved away from Melvin Gordon, and I've been to the game and I've watched him play when he played against the Eagles a couple of years back, and he is dynamic. And when he gets the ball, you kind of have to hold your breath because he is that explosive. If he's playing against your squad, it's really hard to judge. Last week, that was just a weird game. But let me think. I'm probably going Sutton. I'm gonna go Sutton. Because with Montgomery coming back and Jahmyr Gibbs kind of, always 50-50, I'm going Sutton because I believe he's out of everybody you have, he's the number one.
And I'm on board with you. I like Montgomery a lot, and I liked what he did early in the season. If he were healthy, 100% healthy, I would probably go with Montgomery out of these three because the Lions have shown that they're going to feed him the ball quite a bit, and we'll see. And then they're going to try to bring Gibbs along slowly. But the Broncos are playing the Bears. The Broncos, while they got totally decimated by Miami, the Bears look like a team without a complete identity. And even though it's in Chicago, I think the Bears fans have just kind of given up on this. They just know that they're just waiting for the draft right now. Because I think they have their number one pick and they have the Carolina Panthers number one pick. So they're just like, let's just let these two teams finish at the bottom of the league so they get the number one and number two picks in the draft. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like they're done. So you're gonna have a team that Denver should score some points. And Sutton is the number one guy for us right now. He had a couple of fumbles in that last game, but I think he had 19 points. So. And he was on my bench, but the problem is I got Ayuk and Olave, so I couldn't fit him in the starting lineup, and I got three good running backs. So I've been debating on whether starting him or not, but this week it may be the week. I'll be honest with you. Like I said about Olave playing for Jameis, I'm saying if I was going to put a receiver in over Olave with Jameis as the quarterback, I would probably do Sutton. So there you have it. So we welcome you. Like I said, we just ask that you subscribe to the channel so we can let you know when we go live. We want to build a community here that other people can come in. We hope to grow. We have a lot of people in our fantasy league that we want to bring into the show. If you didn't see, we did a live draft with just about the entire league in it, and that was a fun night. So we're hoping to have more guys from the league, our league, in here so you can kind of see what we're going on. We do a little bit of trash talking, and we have a lot of fun. So, so we hope to have some of those guys in and kind of mix it up between just me and Tubby over here. What are you looking at, Tubby?
I was just looking at Mel's numbers last week. I just wanted to see,
His
how
score,
right
it was
he got it.
insane.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Look at that.
this
Yeah.
is last week's numbers.
High
Tua,
score.
51. Justin Jefferson, 27. I'm around St. Brown. I
No
mean,
one.
this Mostert, though.
Yeah. Oh, it's unbelievable.
Goodness. I mean,
No
look
one
at
has
this.
broke 200 this year. That was the first one, right? Because I came close.
Yeah, not
I
this
had
year, right?
199. Yeah, that was the
Mhm.
first one to break 200.
Yeah.
238. My God, man.
Yeah. That's
Unbelievable.
and White Rhinos hit me up. He was like, man, I've lost 2 out of 3 games at a high score because I think you had high score when you beat him.
Yeah.
And then now Mel has high score when you beat him. He has been putting up like bum numbers, anywhere from like
No.
130 to 150 is like pretty solid. As you can see, these are a lot of projections around
Right.
these numbers. So he hit me up. He was frustrated, man. I mean, you lose by 104 points. I mean, you
And you scored
lose.
138. I mean,
You
his team is
lose.
not garbage. He's 0-3, but he has Burrow. But Burrow has not. Look at the projected number for Burrow this week. It's 18. He's not been
I
performing.
know White Rhinos has a crack in his screen on his phone. You lose by 100, bruh.
Yeah, probably in his TV as well. Who knows? Yeah.
You lose by 100, bruh.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Anyway, nah, man, that sucks, man. It can happen to any of us, really. It's not White Rhino's fault that Mello ran it up on him. But yeah, man, this is what 238 looks like when you get it right. I mean, he even got 15 from his kicker.
That's
15 from his kicker.
That's insult to injury right there. That's insult to injury.
His
That's like
kicker,
that's like in a street fight, right? And everybody just curb stomped him. They beat him with freaking pikes, and then the kid with Down syndrome wanders in and kicks
oh my God, bro.
guy.
His kicker almost got more than your quarterback.
Oh my gosh.
It's only 3 points difference between Joe Burrow
Yeah.
and Tyler Bass.
Unbelievable.
Are you kidding me?
Unbelievable. Oh man. All right. So we've got it looks like it's Toasty asking a question here. Would you start Gibbs or a Chain? I like calling him A Chain because he's like A Train from The Boys.
Yeah.
That just fast, dude. The dude's A Train. That should be his nickname, not a Chain. It should be A Train because he is freaking fast. The problem with it is nobody saw that. I think a few people saw it coming, but nobody saw that to that extent of a 50-point game. And so we got to dial it back a little bit. You're not going to get 50 points. He's still behind Mostert in the pecking order.
Oh, yeah.
So was he projected at 11 this week against Buffalo? And it is a tough matchup against a decent run defense. They're giving up the 23rd fewest points to opposing running backs. So, but he's still projected to get 11 out of that. It's funny because the Gibbs question, which he needs to know this now because the game's in 30 minutes. The Gibbs question is a similar situation where Gibbs technically with Montgomery coming back is RB2.
Right.
So he's in a situation where he's dealing with 2 RB2s. Which one could have the better game? I will say what I feel and then let you go. I love a Chain. If you could put him in as a flex, maybe that would be great. I like out of the 2, I like Gibbs for the only fact if you bring up the Gibbs on your screen, I think the Packers run defense is one of the weakest in the league. I want to say they're giving up either around the 3rd or 4th. Let's see what that is. Most
they're like
points.
9th.
Okay, so they're giving up the 9th most. I thought it was worse than that.
Most.
So yeah, so they're giving up the 9th most points to fantasy running backs right now. So I think that you're going to see Detroit try to establish the run game early. The big thing, it really depends on how many carries does Montgomery get. In my opinion right now, I'm hoping that that Gibbs is going to get a lot of carries because Montgomery's not completely ready. So I think you might roll the dice, but I would probably go with Gibbs. What do you think?
I think I'm going with Gibbs on this one. Yeah, I like to also look at who's going to be on the field the most. When you look at the matchups, so you have Detroit versus Green Bay. I would imagine that Detroit's going to be on the field a little bit more. I think they have better pieces all around. Like wide receiver core, I think they have the better quarterback. I just think they're starting to build continuity because that team is starting to get, it's been around now, year after year. Campbell is getting them one step closer. But when it comes to and then when it comes to Achane, it's just you don't really know. I mean, it looked like, honestly, it looked like it's just a mistake. It looks like
It's crazy.
it just kind of happened. He was just there. Mostert was hurt. If you look right here, he's tasked with the number 2 duties, but he's still up behind Ahmed. Now, I don't think Ahmed's playing this week. I can look that up as well. But these almost look like garbage time. When you watch the game, it's almost like, I don't want to call it garbage time. It's not that. I'm picking Gibbs because he has solidified himself more in that offense than Achane has.
The last TD was they were trying to run out the clock, and just the Denver just didn't want to stop anybody, and that was a big play. And I'm not taking anything away from Achane. It was a really great performance, and I think he's going to have a great future. I think they got a 1-2 punch. So I know it's hard. Gibbs has been a letdown, but if you look at the games he played against the one of the tougher run defenses in Kansas City, and he only had 7 carries for 42 yards. Against Seattle, again, only had 7 carries before Montgomery went out, and that was bad. He only had 17 yards in that one. But then when he got 17 carries against Atlanta, he had 80 yards. He didn't get to the end zone, but it was a much better performance. And Atlanta was one of the tougher run defenses in the league. They're considered near the top of the league in run defense right now after 3 weeks. So I think if you're patient with him, Gibbs is a rookie. You got to remember he's a rookie, and he's a very talented runner. Yeah, he's not doing what Bijan Robinson's doing this early in the season, but I'd be patient with Gibbs a little bit. I have him in one of my other fantasy leagues, and I keep an eye on him, and I wouldn't trade him. There's some people that might jump on him as soon as he has a good game. Be patient. He might turn out to be big for you, and you might need him come playoff time. So, all right, got a question. We're getting about 10 minutes away from the end of the show, so if you got any questions, get them in now. We got one from Tepper at 27, and this is it's a 2-part because the other one didn't make it onto the thing. Who should I start at my flex? He's got Monty. He's got Michael Thomas, Achane. He's got Palmer and Roschon Johnson to choose from. So those, I already mentioned how I feel about Michael Thomas. I think he's a great receiver, and if Carr was starting, I would definitely start Thomas. That's a no-brainer. I worry about Jameis Winston and Michael Thomas right now. So when you're looking at these, Montgomery, I'm not completely eliminating Thomas, but I'm kind of putting him to the back burner. Montgomery, Achane, Palmer, or Roschon. I'm not aboard the Roschon train. We're not aboard the Roschon train yet. So.
Yeah, I'm probably going to go with Palmer on this one, just because we know Mike Williams is down. We know it's a slot open. We know. Just think about the things we know. We know the Chargers are going to throw the ball. Eckler is back, so he's probably going to vulture. Because remember, Eckler has been out, so they didn't really throw the ball that much to Joshua Kelly. But Eckler getting back, he's going to steal a few targets. But I think with what you have there, man, I'm probably going Michael Thomas if you're feeling lucky, or Palmer. Achane, we spoke on him. I just don't really know what to do with him right now because he's had one game for a 50 piece, and that is impressive and enticing. I know you want to keep starting him. He's probably solidified it as the number 2 spot, but I'm probably going to go. Monty's coming off an injury. Achane is coming off of just an unbelievable game. Literally hasn't happened since the 60s. So I'm going to go Palmer just by process of elimination.
Yeah, I agree with you. Palmer coming in after the injury had 7 targets, 4 receptions, 66 yards, and a touchdown. So yeah, and 14 points. Now that we mentioned earlier, if you were just joining us, that Quentin Johnson could see a lot of people think he may supplant Palmer down the road. So we mentioned that he's a good stash to have if you've got Palmer. But right now Palmer's gonna be the number 2 guy, and you're gonna expect in that game. Las Vegas's pass defense, it's got him right now in the mid range, right around the giving up the 14th fewest points to opposing wide receivers. I think they're worse than that. If you saw the Pittsburgh game, Kenny Pickett looked like he couldn't throw through a wet paper bag, and then all of a sudden he looked like Joe Namath on Sunday. That was ridiculous. So I'm not a believer in Kenny Pickett by any stretch, but I am a believer that the Las Vegas Raider defense is not very good against the pass. So I think that bodes well for you. I would start every Charger I have this week because I think that the Raiders are trash. I like the Raiders as an organization. My brother's a Raiders fan, so I have a lot of fond memories of watching those games with him. And I'm not afraid to tell him his Raiders are trash. They're just not. Garoppolo was one of the worst moves they could have made. They had a decent quarterback in Carr. Garoppolo, you've heard me talk about him, so I'm not going to go down that road. I think that was a big mistake. All right, we got a question from the starting Lawrence or Love this week because he definitely needs to know within 20 minutes because the game's getting ready to start. Starting Lawrence or Love.
Man,
I'll let you take this one.
Let me pull it up real quick, man.
That's
T-Law let me down last week, man. I just sometimes he can have those really big letdown games. Let's check out the matchups. That way we make an informative decision. So you have T-Law going up against Atlanta. Like I mentioned earlier, Atlanta's not really a little Chivas. No.
Oh, Buffalo Trace, baby.
Oh, I can see it now. Yep. That'll like one of the good bottles of Buffalo.
Oh, it is.
As you can see, the Atlanta Falcons, they're a run team. So if you stop that run, man, I think Jacksonville's going to have the ball a lot. When it comes to Love, I mean, he's averaging 300 a game, so that's always good in fantasy football, win or lose. If your quarterback is managed to get you 300, Outcasts both have him. So we have 38 on average. I mean, game by game, Love has been looking way better.
Did Outcast ask this question? He just put in a different username.
T-Law hasn't cracked 30 all year, and Love is averaging over 30.
Yeah, there you go.
But let's look at the defense. Remember I said Indy was sneaky on defense. Kansas City always has, their defense is way better. Houston game was really surprising from all fronts. I'm not going to hold you. From all fronts, I was just surprised by their inability to move the ball on Houston. I really was. I know D'Amico Ryans is a defensive coordinator by trade coming over from 49ers, but I was surprised that Doug couldn't put up a better game plan for T-Law with all that talent that he has. Man, in short, I'm probably going to go with T-Law with the matchups this week.
All right. And I don't want to confuse the young gentleman, but I would probably go the other way just for.
Hey, it's good.
Just for the sake. I love the Lions. I think they're going to do great. I think they could win this game, but I know that they're banged up on a lot of fronts. I know their line is messed up. They've got some things they're dealing with right now, and I don't know. I don't know if Love is going to be able to win the game, but I think that he should be able to score some points at home. The one thing that I worry about with T-Law against Atlanta is an unknown right now, man. They're playing now Detroit just beat them, but they're playing some sneaky good defensive ball. I think that they're playing in London, so that whenever a team is in London, that's always freaky to me. Some of those are low scoring games because everybody's jet lagged to hell. So now Tubby is a really good fantasy prognosticator. I always defer to him on a lot of advice. So if he says T-Law, then that's probably the way to go. But I personally would probably go with Love tonight.
Yeah,
so
you got
we're split on this one. Sorry.
You have T-Law giving up the 15th. I mean, Atlanta giving up the 15th most points per position. So they're right there in the middle of the pack with 15. And when it comes to Love in the squad that he is going up against, you have Detroit giving up the 16th fewest. So they're the defense wise, you're same. So it's going to be game script. I keep forgetting that the Jaguars have that contract out there in London that they have to go there like every year, man. Yeah. So that is right, man. Those games will get sloppy. But, man, you can ride the hot hand with Love. I mean, it's hard to go away from a guy averaging, 36? I mean, that's 3 touchdowns. I mean, that's pretty good, man. But I'm going with T-Law over Atlanta in London.
And to be honest, Jordan Love struggled until Carr went out and the defense kept giving him the ball back, or Jameis kept giving him the ball back.
That's true.
So Love did struggle in that New Orleans game. So, but I don't know. I think tonight Detroit is looking good, and they probably will play good defense on the road. They beaten Green Bay last year, that famous game at the end of the season to knock Green Bay from the playoffs. So who knows? I do think Green Bay is going to have a good game tonight because you remember stuff like that. And you're not going to let that team come into your house again and humiliate you. And if Green Bay does, then it's on them. All right, we're coming down to the end, so we do definitely want to get a couple more questions before we head out of here. So if you have something, get them in now because we've got about 5 minutes. So this is a good one. This is a trade question. I before I get into this question, I'm going to say real quick, I tried to pull off a trade in one of my leagues this week, and it didn't go down. I offered Dallas Goedert, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Brendan Ayuk for Deebo Samuel and Jamar Chase. And for some reason, the guy declined it. I don't I don't get it. I don't know why. Don't you hate when people send you shit trades like that? Hey, he was in last place. He's 0-3. He didn't have a tight end or a running back. So I was floating him Jahmyr Gibbs and Dallas Goedert. I was swapping Ayuk for Deebo. So it was really Goddard and that for to get Jamar Chase, but he didn't want to let Chase go. So this is a similar situation. He's saying, should he trade Deebo and Tank Dell for Herbert and D-Hop? Right now, his quarterback is Love, and his wide receivers are Puka and Jamar Chase. That's a good problem to have, having two good receivers like that. Because Jamar started off slow, but he had a really great game Monday night, and I think that's going to be more to come. They're now getting the first two games are like preseason. They're getting into their groove right now. So I think Jamar Chase is going to be fine. So you're looking at Tebow and Tank for Herbert and D-Hop. D-Hop has done nothing yet, but he has been injured. It's been really tough going. Herbert, man, I have him. He is scoring some points, dude. And I know that if that is going to make your team better and you're just giving up Deebo and Tank, somebody that you probably got off the waiver wire, let's be honest, you probably picked Tank. I don't think you drafted Tank Dell. So I'm thinking you got him off the waiver wire. Tank Dell for me is a very interesting proposition because that he's scoring so many points in consecutive weeks, but he's so tiny. And to me, it's like, how long can that last?
Right.
Do you get rid of him now before he starts to have those 10-point games, or is it going to keep going? Is he like baby Tyreek out there? So what are your thoughts on this?
They are playing Vegas this week, so in the short term it looks good. They got Chicago and New York. You got to think down the line too for these points. Right now, I'm probably not touching my team. If that's your squad, even you have C-Mac and Bijan, so you have Love, Deebo, Puka, probably Tank in the flex, and then you have C-Mac and Bijan. I'm probably just going to hold right now because I don't want to give up Deebo. Deebo had an incredible week last week. He killed it last week. And Tank Dell, I hear you on the Tank Dell part, but man, I think it's hard to give up really, really, really talented scorers like Deebo for any quarterback, man, because quarterbacks, a lot of these guys can come in and hit you for a lot. Justin Herbert did just lose his number 2 wide receiver, but you got Palmer coming in, but he's not Mike Williams. I'm probably not making this trade. I'm probably just going to chill on my team right now. I think you have a great squad, man.
I'll be the devil on your shoulder, and Jordan Love, I think, is an adequate quarterback. And Herbert is not one of those guys that you would draft like Mahomes number 1 or Burrow or that kind of thing. But Herbert's outplaying Burrow this year. Cousins is outplaying Burrow this year.
Everybody.
That's true. So it's one of those things where if Fantasy God, if you think it makes your team better, if it gives you that final piece, then maybe pull the trigger. Deebo right now is battling an injury. He's questionable for this Sunday, and it may be more than a 1-week injury. So it's a tough one, but it all depends on how you feel. Does it make your team better? Or do you feel like you're getting taken chance? If you've got Puka, Chase, and you've got CMC and Bijan, you're not giving those guys up, and you're still going to be scoring points. So you could kind of make Deebo and Tank expendable. You do get D-Hop in return. He could come back. I think that's probably tempering expectations on what D-Hop's going to do. I think that he's just trying to unload D-Hop on you because he doesn't believe in him. So I'll be the devil and say maybe. I'd say I'd lean toward it. I would lean toward it. But we got a few more questions before we got to get out of here because the game will be starting in 15 minutes. And we want to get through all these other 2 questions. So we can't take any more tonight other than these 2. But we're going to get through these next 2 from Daniel and the COD God. We're coming to you after this one. So this one's an easy, really quick one. Aaron Jones or DeAndre Swift?
I'm definitely going Swift, the number 2. If you go yards per game on average, he's only played 2. And he has 300 plus yards. That's at least 150 on average. So sorry for me to pick. Aaron Jones had an incredible week 1, but for this week, I'm just going to ride the hot hand and go with DeAndre Swift.
Eagles at home. It's a revenge game against Washington, who knocked him from the ranks of the undefeated last year. DeAndre Swift is playing like he's on a mission to prove his worth, and he's playing for his hometown team. He's played lights out. The only thing that's kept DeAndre Swift from 200-yard games is the Eagles coaches, who's held him out of almost an entire fourth quarter against Tampa Bay. So ride that. The only thing that is the risk is, do they hand the ball to Gainwell in the fourth quarter? But I wouldn't even worry about that, because they won't take the ball out of Swift's hands until he's over 100 yards, and they've shown that. So I would go that route if I were you. Who do we play, Montgomery or White? Montgomery's interesting tonight because, again, coming off an injury, so that's a risk. You got to look at White. To me, I haven't watched a lot of them. I did watch that Philadelphia game, and I wasn't impressed. They didn't even have a running first down until like in the fourth quarter. I think it was the fourth quarter when he got his first rushing first down. So now, granted, that was against the Philly defense, and the Philly defense has one of the best run defenses out there. This week, who they're playing? They're playing New Orleans, and at New Orleans, and New Orleans has got a stout run defense. It's rough because you're talking about going with Rashad, who is technically the starter, and you're dealing with Montgomery, who is coming off an injury. But I love Montgomery in this one. I don't know about you, because I just don't know what Montgomery's going to get tonight. How many carries? That's the scary part.
If he's healthy, he's going to be get high volume. He missed last week, so conditioning wise, he's good to go. Just a matter if that injury hurts him again. When it comes to Rachaad White, he's a good looking back, man. Pause. But he's a good looking back. I seen him last week. I was like, man, that guy can do some things. He's promising going forward. But man, going up against New Orleans, man, I think I'm gonna have to lean towards Montgomery here, just because they're playing with New Orleans. Maybe against Detroit next week, I'm going Rachaad White, because he's going to catch a spark. I mean, you look at what he did against Chicago, but in Chicago, remember, Chicago isn't playing good offense. So here is the only thing I'm gonna get you.
All right.
Because Jameis Winston is starting from New Orleans.
I was going to say the same thing.
The Buccaneers may have the ball more often. Baker Mayfield looked fine last week. He was playing. He was playing well. So I think if you're down on Winston, then you start Rachaad White. If you think Winston can probably go off, then you go the other way.
I was just going to say the same thing, because I forgot about that. Jameis Winston is playing. If he's given that ball back to Tampa Bay over and over again, the New Orleans defense, it doesn't matter how good they are, they're going to be gassed. And that could very well come into play for you. So that may work out. So it is a risky maneuver to hold out and not play Montgomery. Montgomery, the hard part about playing him is that we don't know how much we're going to get tonight. We didn't even know he was going to play until like 2 hours ago. So it's one of those things where we don't know what we're going to get. So if you're willing to take a risk and wait until Sunday and wait until you see what Jameis does, I think that Rachaad might even have a good game, considering that I don't think New Orleans is going to have a good game. All right, we're running out of time. We're going to try to get through as many of these as we can. Golf or Lamar Jackson? Lamar is playing Cleveland. I forget who the Rams are playing off the top of my head.
I'm going golf. This is an easy one for me. I'm going golf. Yeah, Cleveland, division matchup, even though Detroit is as well. I think because I'm going golf on this one. I think he's playing well. I think he's playing really well. And Lamar is still just all over the place, man. I think if he starts getting the ball to Andrews early and often like he used to, then you can lean Lamar, but I'm going golf on this one.
This is next one, Rich Mocha's, and he's doing Bengals defense, Niners all the way. They're playing Arizona. I know that Arizona handled Dallas, but we got to decide, is that really Dallas dropping the ball or Arizona playing really great? I'm going to say the latter. I'm going to say that the Arizona, they're 14-point favorites, dude. They're 14-point favorites. They should destroy Arizona. Should. So definitely that one. All right, Kyle Pitts or Luke Musgrave. This is a good question, because we just said Kyle Pitts is not living up to expectations. He's definitely got to be frustrating you, Braden. I definitely get that.
With Luke Musgrave, The only problem with him is that he isn't showing a lot of targets.
Yeah.
So that's always a thing. You do have 8 targets last week against that tough New Orleans defense, but obviously in the comeback and with Christian Watson coming back, does that eat into his touches again? I'm probably still going to go Kyle Pitts in London. That's just my pick on that one.
I think that Musgrave is a risky pick, but the Detroit is giving up the number 1 points to tight ends. So I would take that into consideration if I were you. And it's funny because we got 2 guys. Sometimes we have different opinions, and you just got to take what you can get. You're right back at square one. I would lean Musgrave just because I'm not a Kyle Pitts believer. I think he's amazingly talented, but talent and what they do on the field are 2 different things. And I'm going to wait until Kyle Pitts shows me something before I play them. So I would go Musgrave. And we got a similar question to wrap it up because we got to get out of here, guys. We appreciate all the questions. And again, if you asked a question tonight and we answered it, please, we ask that you just like and subscribe the channel so that you can keep coming back and we can keep having this kind of interaction each and every week, because we're not going to ask you to join. We're not going to ask you to pay anything. We just want to build a community of guys like us that are fantasy football lovers. So similar question, Musgrave or Andrews? Now, Andrews is playing on the road against Cleveland and Musgrave's going tonight. Now, this one I don't know how you can't go Andrews if you've got Andrews. I like Musgrave, but it's like if you got Andrews. Now, again, Detroit's given up the number 1. So take that into consideration. They're giving up the number 1 points to the tight end against. So that's got to call something into your favor for what Detroit might be able to do. So what do you think?
Coming off of a loss, I think I'm going to go with Andrews. I think they're going to start forcing the ball to their go-to guys. Remember, he was injured a little bit to start the season, but now he's back. And if anybody Lamar's going to throw the ball to, you can best believe it's going to be Andrews. Like I said, with Christian Watson coming back, it's really hard for me to lean Musgrave because and Aaron Jones, he gets catches as well too. So it's real hard for me to lean that way. I don't know. Conventional Winston just tells me Andrews on this one, man.
As we go out, I'm going to lightning quick answer this one. Daniel Jones, Jordan Love, always Jordan Love. I'm not a big believer in Jones.
Yeah.
So that's just so you know. That's just me. I'm going to say that. We have some other ones. We'll try to get this one real quick. Mostert, Moss. This has got to be the last one, though, guys. We really appreciate it. Mostert, Moss, flex Judy Tutu, or play Monty tonight instead of either one of those 3. Monty is a risk. He's a risk with the other guys you got. I like what Tutu Atwell's doing. Or Judy, that's a tough decision there, but that's a good decision to have. You're definitely going to play Mostert. And Zach Moss, I would go with Mostert and Moss. And sit Monty tonight. Wait to see how many carries he gets, because you've got enough to where you don't have to take a risk.
I agree.
You should be okay. So we agree on that. So with that said, that's all the questions we could take for tonight. Man, thank you guys for so much engagement tonight. I really appreciate it. Tubby, it came up with this channel, and I'm just along for the ride. So we want to thank everybody for being here tonight that liked and subscribed to the show. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. What Lee said, we started this together. We were on another channel where Eagles There. This is nothing new for us.
Yeah.
But we're football fans just like you, getting ready for the game tonight. And we appreciate everybody stopping by the Fantasy Waiver Wire. Please drop us a like, a follow, subscribe. So when we come live, you'll see us. You'll check us out, get your questions in early, especially for those that we weren't able to get to. And it helps out the channel, man. Get us in the algorithm, all that good stuff, man. So hit that like button, any interaction. We appreciate it. We appreciate all the comments this week, man. And good luck on your fantasy football weeks, everybody out there, especially the ones that came and stopped by with us. And with that said, man, we are gone.
Good night.